make a speech.
Well, a good speech was at the start of the game, but it didn't translate into a good start. Like we were tight in the first. I think you've all seen that before. First game, so much buildup. We pushed this team hard, and we were just tight. And then the turnaround is the goal, right? So as soon as we score there early in the second, our legs and our hands showed up. Right, we stopped being tight, and then we were just a real good team after that. The Lowry line does a great job on Lindholm. Power play kicks in, penalty kill gets, we're a half step more aggressive, so that falls into place for us. But it was, we all felt it was there. Like we were just hesitant with the puck with our feet. The goal was critical because it took some pressure off. Right, it kind of put the game within one with so much time, and that, to me, was the turning point. The second goal was huge.
Go next to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Ken.
Paul, you talked about Patrik Laine's engagement level yesterday. What does it mean when that translates into the type of performance he had in Game 1 tonight, not just on the scoreboard, but in standing up for a team? Well,
so he knows that he's worked hard here for 2 weeks. He's worked harder here for 2 weeks than at any point in his time here, and that just becomes with being bigger, stronger, more mature. And then he gets just an incredible payoff, right? So now he's feeling good. So it's like most of these guys, right? It's all part of the development. You get bigger, stronger. You understand what a training camp's going to be like. You prepare for it. He's a very driven young man. He wants to be great, and sometimes you have to learn how that unfolds. So what he got tonight, he'd earned. He didn't get lucky. Didn't have a bunch of good bounces go for him or anything like that. He just worked and worked. For him to get down the ice in overtime the way he did, that's a fit guy. That's a guy who's been pushing himself for 2 weeks after a good summer of training.
Go next to Murat Tatesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
I want to ask you about a different player who had a big role in the turnaround, Nick Ehlers. I mean, he had one heck of a last 24 hours and then a first shift in the second period that really helped to set the tone. What can you say about his day?
Yeah, like the rest of the hockey team, I think kind of got through that first period and found his legs, and that is a ability, that sprint that he has to pull people off. And he played hard. Like Nicky was one of the bright spots in our in the play-in round, and I thought he came right back to where he was. He loves playing with those two guys. Why wouldn't you? But that energy level to create the loose puck that ended up being a goal. I guess a better way to look at it is we just had a real heavy training camp, so maybe him not being on the ice was the best thing that could have happened to him because he had some good legs tonight.
We'll go next to Carter Brooks. Go ahead, Carter.
Hi, Coach. Just a question on your decision to go with 5 forwards on the 5-on-3, as well as calling a timeout in that situation. Was that always the decision on the mind? Was it maybe a second guessing? Should I call this timeout, or did you have this idea in your mind when you saw it become a 5-on-3?
No, so we worked on that exact idea. The decider in that is the time on the clock. So 44 was enough time. So if we get into a lower time situation, we get 15, 20 seconds, we won't go with 5 forwards. But there was enough time on the clock. But that also meant, because we were at 44, that we had run through a bunch of time on the power play. So we worked on it last week, and then I just took the timeout. Just 5-on-3s are such an incredible opportunity to score, right? You want to make sure that those guys are fresh. So with 3 timeouts each period, I don't think that the value of a timeout is what it used to be. So it gave you a little break, and we went over what we worked on, but they'd seen it before. It was about getting those guys that had already been on the power play just enough rest so they could be sharp.
Next to Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead.
Hey, Paul, understanding it's not going to come from Patrik Laine shedding his gloves every game, but when you're in an atmosphere where you don't have fans in stands, how important are those little moments that can pick up a bench, whether it's a guy who's not known for fighting, bucking things up, or just anything exactly like that?
Well, it does show a real connection with the team, right? You care about your teammates, so you're protecting them. But it also shows an emotional level, right? And you're right. There's no fans in the building, and it's different for sure, right? There's nobody cheering you on when that happens. But if you're at the right heart rate and the right engagement, you'll find those scrums happen a little more, and that's a good thing at times.
We'll end off with Paul Friesen from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Paul.
Follow up a bit on that, Paul. Some teams probably get more from home crowds than others. Does that mean there's maybe that teams like yours might lose more of a home ice advantage?
Yeah. So I would agree with that. I think playing in this building with our fans, with as engaged they are, is a real advantage to us, and we don't have that. But it's kind of, varying degrees. It's still way better playing at home than it was playing in the bubble. So we'll take that, and then there's going to be a point in time here where the building's full again, and it's you know what? There's actually a really positive thing to this. Is sometimes maybe in the NHL, you almost, I don't think we do it here, but you take your fans for granted. It's how important they are to the game. And there's a huge difference in enjoyment from the players, the coaches, the people here. When the fans in this building get going, that's a major part of what makes the job fun. So we miss them, and I think you're going to see an appreciation. And we appreciate our fans. We know we got something special here, but I think in the end, league-wide, there'll be a greater respect for the importance of the fans every single night to drive the game to the level that it gets to when it's special.
Looks like Paul Friesen has a follow-up, so go ahead, Paul.
Sorry to make your voice work a little longer, but the big guns are going to get a lot of the ink today, right? So, but that Lowry line, tell me what it brought for you today.
So that was for me the change in the game, right? We had seen the first period, basically 4 games of it in the playoffs, and then Lowry's line was able to go out and minimize one of their top 2 lines, and they played in their end. And what it did was it allowed Scheif and Stas to play against different lines, so that either one of them could play against Monahan. And the goal that Scheif's line scored is not against either of those 2 lines. So marks for you, Paul. That for me was what Adam Lowry was able to do is allow us to get back into that game.
Thanks very much, Coach.
Okay, guys.